I'm recognizing that living for God is the greatest thing on the planet Earth. Now, I recognized this some time ago, but I'm looking at it now from the lens of my spiritual journey. And I'm just seeing how my desire to be at one with the Father, to tune into the living Spirit, to access the qualities of blessing that is inherently now and is inherently good, it seemed like a little extreme. It seemed like a little asking for a little too much. Well, I don't know about y'all, but if y'all ever knew anything about the living spirit, you would know it's a whole lot, because the whole lot is all of God. And that's a whole bunch. You feel me? And over time, I've recognized that the spiritual journey of walking with God is something that the reason why you need a sword, the reason why you need a sword is because every quality of the matrix is going to try to reason your relationship or reason your experience or reason your personal encounter. And I'm realizing that the spiritual journey is not an optional thing, because anybody who has an eye of insight can look at the life that's been recorded, that of the great holy men, the great uh, lords. You know what I'm saying? Look at Jesus, Yeshua. Look at Moses. Those who had a word, who walked in invisible guidance and made transformative movements for humanity. You know what I'm saying? And that is the type of time it is for me, because that's who I'm watching. So that's who I'm walking with. I'm walking with the living spirit. And that's me walking with God in words. But the interesting thing is that you have to die to live for God, and not just in the element of the crucifixion and all these kind of types of ways of looking at it, but it's also your psychological crucifixion. And I'm realizing that, how do I say this one, Father? I'm realizing that this type of crucifixion for me has happened many times before, but now it's on a level that induces dramatic self-love. Let me take it again. It's at a degree that self-love is non-optional. It's not an option. It's yeah. And I'm really understanding it, you know, and I'm so grateful to the Spirit of God, because all I have to do is ask and sit and just listen. But when I was tuning into this, I realized that it's like how everyone sees their own experience and trust is projected. So no one can hear you confidently in harmony with the Spirit of God unless they have been, or unless they see it good or see it well, however you like to English. But that's not an option for someone who's walking. That's something you can consider when you're watching. That's something you consider when you can observe other people walking. But no, when you're walking yourself, you have to know where the center is. You have to know where home is. You have to know where the base is. And this is the Lord. This is Yeshua. This is Christ. This is your living spirit. This is I am. And so all your God seed Adam energy is located within you. But if you're not listening to your own self, that's why scripture says, if you turn away from me, I will turn away from you also. See, because if you don't receive unto yourself the quality of the living spirit, then God is going to be a little bit less. Your God self is going to be a little bit less, because you're devoiding your own. You're basically devaluing your own thought, or you're devaluing your own presence. And walking for God means to allow for his presence, to be the presence. And so that means your energy, watching your environment, cultivating the environment of God around your environment and within your environment. So yeah, I'm just realizing that it's not a really optional thing. And especially with where the world is adventuring, I'll put it this way. A solid relationship and clarity with the Creator on a daily basis is non-negotiable. It's not even because, like, I mean, the scripture says the enemies are your own household. You know what I'm saying? Like, it reflects to you the quality of that by which you think is of your own. But that's not because of them. That's just because of where they reside. That's because of how they attune. That's because of how they perception. It's not because of them, themselves. Because if they were whole and perfect with the awareness in the living spirit of God, they wouldn't be judging you. They wouldn't be condemning you. They wouldn't be crucifying you all the time. Why? Because they recognize they're looking at the living spirit of God the same way they are the living spirit of God looking at the living spirit of God. So we would be seeing God's manifestation in us and not our own comments of degradation. That's what I'm showing you, and that's what I'm living, and also letting people know that they're doing. Sometimes people don't even know, and without knowing, they can't do. So there's depths, especially now we've done taking on the English. There's depths. Now I think the hotspot is Christ.com. Then you don't have no work to do. But then in order for you to sustain the vibration, here's all your work that you didn't do. You see what I'm saying? So the work is non-negotiable anyways. So the spiritual journey is not negotiable anyways. It's just that most people have gotten to a place where they can live, but they can do it avoiding their spirit. So they can do it by just going to work, showing up here, going to fellowship, passing this way, going to this place, helping these people, going to see moms, going to do this, but then never coming to the space where they're actively pursuing the living spirit in the presence of God themselves. And it's like, okay, well, that means you're just going to wait till you recognize that you haven't, or you're just not to do it this life, or however. I don't know what people's things are, but for me, I'm not wasting no time with it, because I want to know what God's talking about. God's been speaking all this whole life. People just not been writing. God's been speaking since he spoke to the prophets. He's speaking right now. So I want to keep listening really good, and I want to hear everything that God has, because I want to have it too. That's my business. That's what my father told me. Everything in the kingdom is mine, so let's get to it. And so with that said, I just want to say spiritual journey and the spiritual alignment, and just an alignment mentally with spirit is non-negotiable. Attunement and an allegiance to the living spirit of God is not negotiable. And then that vicariously means your experience with him, because you can't talk about something you don't know about. How can I give y'all something I don't have? If I didn't have no consciousness, this video would have been over, wouldn't have started. If I didn't have no intellect, no wisdom that I've been sitting at the Father's feet to recognize, then I wouldn't have nothing to talk about. I wouldn't have anything to share. So for the simple fact that I can obtain, I can give. So there's a learning there. You have to recognize how to obtain. And I'm teaching that by being an example of it, by explaining the process. The living spirit is with you. How still are you to know? Most people are not still enough to know. That's why scripture say again, be still and know, I am the Lord your God, and I'll be exalted amongst the nations. I'll be exalted amongst the cities. You have to recognize the cities and the nations are governance of people, denominations of thought. This is mental. The nations is the qualities of perception and idea that float around in the air. What happens in this place in the world? What happens in that place in the world? Oh, but that person is not allowed because they're not from this place. Oh, but only these colored people are. These are all nations conversations. Who's going to be lifted up amongst all that? The Lord. So this is how you listen, because you're going to be still. So then you rise in consciousness. When you be still, it's basically like, Father, what was this picture? It was basically like, like a beach ball. A beach ball in a pool does not sink. It floats. So basically, if the ball was to be held under the water, that's like you getting into the conversation with somebody who's in that conversation wavelength of drama, where they're like, I don't know why you always doing that. And then you try to like jump in there, straight down to the bottom of straight down to 8 feet in the pool, basically. And then when you be still and know the Lord, basically after the whole conversation, all the emotions run out. Hopefully you don't use your mouth for anything wicked. Then, because then you have to heal that, clean that up afterwards. But however, then after you come back to your sense and your reasoning, your balance, the beach ball rise back to the surface of the water. This is basically what the scripture is illustrating. Be still, know I am the Lord. I'll be exalted amongst the nations. I'll be exalted amongst the cities. How often are you being still to know the Lord? Because life is not going to let you be still if you're walking with the matrix, because it's not built for it. It's built to keep you checking time and tracking time and not God. So, however, don't try to confuse me with this shit. I'm bored. I'm about to clear this shit up. Excuse me, Lord. Because I'm like, nope. You can look at things happening right now because the energy is ripe for Christ. Because the energy is ripe for Christ. That's why. So tune in and know, because the time is now. And anybody who's watching this video, make sure to check the link in the description to download the spiritual alphabet. These 26 letters are really only half the year, but they're going to help us out. A, B, C, D. Let's get to knowing. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all for watching this video. It's free, by the way. And I'm just grateful to say yes to God, because it's easy. And it's not easy in the sense that you're going to feel like doing it until you realize after doing everything else, there ain't nothing else. So with that being said, honor the Lord, man. Just walk in the spirit. I feel like I'm about to show y'all what I'm receiving from God, like I've been doing. I have, it seems like I'm coming out this moment where it's like I've been absent for a while. That's because I've been working on something. I found that praying hands are really good, but not better than working hands. And so some of the things that I can do are far beyond things that I can tell y'all. You know what I'm saying? And it's more action oriented for me. So I got some things that I'm just producing. And I know there's going to be a fluctuation around the way. It's going to be me coming in and coming out, but I'm going to find my consistency again and continue shining that light power. It's the same time that God's on. So with that being said, be blessed, walk in the best, and remember, you're coming from the best, so be your best. And I'll see y'all. Peace.